You might know where we're going from the title.
What you might not know is how we're going to get there.
That's right, once again we are off to another Buying Memories adventure, except this time we had to relocate to another city in Australia to start our cruise.
In this trip, we flew to Adelaide a day before our departure and spent a night at a local hotel.
This also gave us the morning to do some shopping therapy, mainly the essentials.
We were actually quite lucky that we got treated to a manicure.
The reality was that Mum and Dad organised this cruise to celebrate our grandparents' 70th birthdays 2 years ago. However, because of the pandemic, the trip had to be postponed.
The check-in for the cruise was really quick, and before we knew it, we were checking out our suite, an upgrade that P&O gave us for being patient and not requesting a refund 2 years ago. We felt extremely spoiled.
We're just leaving the port.
Bye, Adelaide.
And before we knew it, we were off on a 5-night cruise across the Great Australian Bight. Time to meet new friends at Kids Club, find different ways to have fun, spend quality time together, and create more family memories. Another thing you can do on the cruise is dress up and take photos.
Alright, 3, 2, 1 more. I'll give you a big cuddle there. There you go.
Speaking of entertainment, whilst Raquel and I spent most of our time at the Kids Club, Grandma, Pa, Mum and Dad spent time watching live bands and checking out other daily activities.
And of course, where there is music, you are likely to find Mum and Dad dancing.
In terms of things to do, there is another activity that took up a lot of our time.
Life on the cruise is just eating, and more eating. And eat. 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 And eat, and can you guess it? Eat. Jokes aside, eating on a cruise is an amazing experience.
Each restaurant we tried had completely different, amazing meals, and the menus changed day to day.
Tonight we're at the waterfront restaurant and we're having a degustation. absolutely incredible, and also a great reason to dress up. However, one aspect that we all felt made the experience even more memorable was the fantastic people who worked at the ship. They made every experience even better.
Tonight's a great Gatsby night, so we're all dressed up in clothes from the 20s, and we're extremely lucky because we've got our favourite waiter, Melroy, here tonight.
Thank you. Hey, there you go.
The first port that we stopped at was called Albany. This was a pretty little town with lots of history. One of the reasons that this is a well-known town in Australia is that our troops departed from here in World War I to the Battle of Gallipoli.
Whilst at Albany, we went to visit the National Anzac Centre, where we were given a card with a picture of one of the people that served in World War I. As we walked through the centre, we learnt more about each of their experiences.
What I loved the most, but was also very sad, was the memorial where the names of all the people who died during the war were reflected under a water feature. I couldn't believe how many names kept scrolling through.
I also found walking through the gun points in the hill quite interesting. They are there to protect the harbour.
On our way back, whilst Grandma and Pa took a bus ride to the ship, we decided to take a walk that became an interesting bush-bashing long cut.
The next town we stopped at was Busselton, known for its long pier, so long that it has a train to move people back and forth to the end. Unlike the previous town, here we had to jump on a tender out at sea and be taken into the pier. Although we have been on one of these tenders before, this one was particularly memorable.
This is the ocean roller coaster. The first part of the visit was a fairly short bus ride to a local historical lighthouse.
We took a break from a ship to go to the lighthouse, and unlucky for us, it's raining. However, the best memory that we will all take with us came next.
Nilgi Caves, which was a bit tricky to pronounce at first, and still is, are a huge set of adjoining caves filled with amazing stalactites and stalagmites. They made us feel like we were surrounded by stunning, sparkling crystals. We are in Nilgi Cave.
The caves were constantly changing. In some sections, there were huge amphitheatres, while in other areas you had to squeeze between rocks. Or, if game, you could go down a slide.
This bad spirit entered the cave. His name was Walpen. And he was really an evil sort of creature, and he decided he was going to dry up all the fresh water. He was going to make it impossible for them to get fish. In fact, he was just really horrible and made life impossible. This came to the attention of Nilgi, who, as I said before, is the great ocean spirit. And he gathered all the other spirits together, and they came to the cave with the intention of getting rid of this Walpen creature. They came down into the cave and they chased Walpen down to the bottom of the cave and Nilgi said to him, either you leave and never come back or we kill you. And with that, being such a coward that he was, he raced to the very end of the cave and then shot right out of the cave into the open air. And that is the hole where he went down today. Anyway, he never came back, and Nilgi has made sure ever since that all those good things were put back. So that's the Aboriginal myth.
I loved that as you walked along, suddenly a little alcove in the cave would appear, containing some amazing colourful rock formations.
I found it amusing that at times we had to climb up first when we were actually trying to go down into the caves, and the reverse, when we were trying to come up out of the caves, the steps would take us down first.
For most of the walk, it felt like there was plenty of space. However, on a few occasions, only one person at a time could squeeze through.
Hearing that one of the amphitheatres had such good acoustics that it was used for an opera by the famous opera singer Dame Nellie Melba, so I decided to muster up some courage and test it out myself.
My heart stops when you look at me, just one touch. No baby, I believe this is real. Let's run away and don't ever look back, don't ever look back.
And before we knew it, it was time to get back on the ship and head to Perth.
Although we loved the cruise, we were also excited to disembark and spend some time with our family and friends who live in Western Australia.
During our time in Perth, we played lots with our young cousins, visited our auntie in Northam, did a day trip to Penguin Island,
Now at Penguin Island in the Discovery Centre.
and went to restaurants with friends, including one where some other friends that we met first in Italy now work. Goodbye, Perth. See you again soon.
And with that, another set of memories were captured for us to record on this vlog so that we never forget them.
Twenty-three, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
You meant to say something special, Poppy. What did you say?
Well, I saw a cape first.